I'd like to welcome y'all back to Political Detox tonight. Let's read out something special. A few clips that you absolutely need to check out to understand the game that the media is playing, and they playing it right in front of us. We're gonna look at a high-stakes showdown on the NewsNation show, Cuomo, where Bill O'Reilly just stepped into the ring with Chris Cuomo. Now look at the contrast here. You got O'Reilly coming in with the receipts on the Minneapolis insurrection, while Cuomo is trying to play this middle-of-the-road moderator act. Just a total bait and switch. Chris Cuomo thinks he can distance himself from his libtard past, thinking that he can just come in and fool the MAGA base by pretending to be the voice of reason. But we know better. We're gonna let these clips play for a few minutes because the arrogance on display is self-explanatory. Now just watch how Cuomo tries to smile his way through the fact that foreign money is fueling chaos all across America. We're gonna break down the mass, the spin, and the absolute buffoonery. So let's get into this. Roll clip 1.
Bill O'Reilly had a health situation. He worked through it. He's back now, and I am happy for it. It's good to have you back, Bill. You look good.
I appreciate that, Cuomo.
So the president has been using different language last couple of days. Mixed on Pretty, said, some things that piss people off, some things that don't. But he said, look, we got to keep doing what ICE does. We got to do it in a way that de-escalates. He says, what do you think he understands now that he didn't, let's say, 2 weeks ago?
Well, I don't think there's anything that he didn't understand 2 weeks ago. It's a top-down administration, number one. I don't want to get too technical about it, but it's just like what FDR did when he was in the White House for, I think it was 13 years before he died. So all the decisions come out of the White House. And the decision was, we're going to round up as many criminal aliens as we can. And in the process, if we detain people who don't have credentials to be in a country, we're going to take them in as well. We're going to use the Fourth Amendment to do it, which is exactly what happened. And warrants were issued and people were detained. Okay, so Minneapolis and Minnesota, they don't like that. And they're not going to obey the law. And they flat out said, we're not going to obey the law. Whether you like it or not, President Trump or the Congress or anybody else, F you. Okay, so Trump has to react to that because it's an insurrection, just like it was before the Civil War. The state is saying not going to execute what the law of the land is, signed in 1952. That's a huge story. Now, in the meantime, for whatever reason, and I don't know exactly why, some of the Border Patrol and ICE agents overreact and have an attitude that they're going to beat the hell out of you if you impede their work. And that, I said a month ago, that's going to lead to disaster. Because you got a bunch of emotionally fragile people. Both of these dead Americans fit into that category, in my opinion, and we've traced them back. We know who they are. They were activists. Mr. Pretty was a guy who was almost violent. And you saw him kicking a truck. You saw that his rib was broken 11 days ago in a confrontation. He brings a loaded gun into a hot, dangerous confrontation with law enforcement. Who does that? Who does that? No one. All right, but he did. And the poor woman, Ms. Good, is sitting there in a truck trying to block operations, laughing, and then bolts the truck up. And you're going, if there's going to be a tough guy approach, then people are going to get hurt because these people aren't rational. Neither Good nor Pretty were rational. What they did was crazy. And instead of the news media, you and me and everybody else, saying, don't do that. Protest legitimately, but don't put yourself in harm's way.
O'Reilly's calling out the media for making minors of people breaking the law. While Cuomo just sits there and trying to play it cool, you can see the bait and switch coming. Hit subscribe and roll clip 2.
That's not what the media does. The media tries to make martyrs out of the two of them, and that's all right, okay? And then tries to blame Trump for their deaths. It's crazy. And then today, after Trump went out of his way to take a phone call from Fry, and you know that, you reported on that, Fry basically says, F you again. All Trump is asking is that the Minnesota authorities protect the ICE agents from violence, from intrusion, that the local authorities get Mr. Pretty before he breaks something on an ICE truck, all right? They stop that. And Fry says, no, we're not gonna do that. In fact, we're going to stand by and stand down while protesters go into a hotel and rip it up because ICE agents are staying there. Now, Cuomo, I'm going to ask you a flat-out question. Is that responsible? Is that responsible?
I see it differently. I don't believe the mayor is saying we're not going to do what you want us to do, just flat out like that.
It's not going to protect.
As you say.
Here's
what I think is going on.
Said Cuomo. Wait. I don't want big picture.
I thought you asked me a question.
You can do big picture the rest of your show. I want you to answer this question.
I'll answer your question.
I am not going to provide local police protection for the federal agents. Is that a responsible statement, Cuomo?
It's not what he said. He said, I am not going to enforce immigration law. I am not. Hold on. You want me to tell you what he said? I'll tell you what he said. He is not going to enforce immigration law, and I am not going to put my resources behind your unconstitutional actions.
Listen to Cuomo. He trying to put a tuxedo on a trash can, but I'm glad Bill called it out. He said Frey is nothing but a punk, and he's telling the feds to go and pound sand. But Cuomo wants to talk about unconstitutional actions. Now, if a mayor is blocking the federal law and telling the president he ain't helping, that's equivalent to a middle finger in any language. Chris, stop the crap. When Chris mentions resources, that's just another code for letting in the mob to run the streets.
Your unconstitutional actions. You call it an insurrection. Even Trump disagrees with you. Even Trump doesn't believe the insurrection. He just said on television to NewsNation, the Insurrection Act is not needed. Okay? So you take that the way you want.
I think it's a big difference that he doesn't believe it.
But I'll tell you the big difference. That's the answer to your question. Hold on a second, Bill. Here's the big difference. Pretty is this, good is that. Here's the mistake. And here's why there's so much outrage, okay? That is real and rational. That's who does crazy things. People who are built up to be so outraged by what's happening, they become desperate and they do things they shouldn't. The problem is you're pretending that the ICE agents are the same as the protesters and they're likely to act the same way. No, one is supposed to be trained, which is why we let you have weapons and you're supposed to de-escalate, and you've been doing the opposite. Okay? These are not supposed to be the death penalty. You kick a truck, you're not supposed to die. You block traffic, you're not supposed to die. That's what people are reacting to. Go ahead.
Okay, and they're absolutely right to react to it. And there is an investigation going on into the procedures the ICE agents used. And they may be charged. I don't think they will be, but they may be. And there should be an investigation.
With Pretty, I don't think that's happening with Good yet.
No, it's happening with both. And I confirmed it today on my program, the No Spin News, with the spokesman for the ICE unit who was on, McLaughlin.
You okay with DHS investigating this instead of the DOJ? Go ahead.
The Department of Homeland Security is investigating, but the FBI is there as well. That's what's happening. Now, when you have a situation where there's passion and chaos and violence, people are going to get hurt. And I have said, as I just mentioned, got to bring it down. And it's the responsibility of the federal government to bring it down. But if you're going to sit there and tell NewsNation viewers that Frey is providing local protection for federal agents,
I never said that.
Then you're misleading your audience.
I never said that.
They are not.
I explained why he said
yes, you
no.
are. Oh, Frey didn't say that.
No, I'm not.
You just told me. Oh, Frey didn't say that.
I just had his quote up on the screen. I just had the quote up on the screen, Bill. It says exactly what I said.
Resources. Hold it. Resources is a code. They're not providing protection for the federal agents. Frey knows it. He's a punk, okay? Trump went out of his way to talk to him, and according to Trump, they came to detente, and then the next day, Frey goes out and says, blank you again. He's a punk.
You can't.
And I am going to predict right now that down the road, he's going to be charged. Frey is going to be charged.
With what?
Okay?
Not liking Trump? What's he going to be charged with?
Insurrection Act.
Look,
Absolutely.
the Insurrection Act, look, they may charge it with them, but it's because they have absolutely no respect for the Constitution or the administration of justice. But the idea that this is an insurrection, just read the act, Bill. It's not even a close call. You would fail out of law school.
Now, this is the same man who called every grandma in a MAGA hat an insurrectionist for 3 years straight. Now, when you got a governor and a mayor actually blocking federal law and harboring activists, he wants to talk about law school requirements? He only cares about the act when it's his side doing the acting. Bill's taking you to school when you're still trying to skip class.
It's not even close.
Oh, come on.
Where is the proof
It's ridiculous.
of an organized resistance to overthrow the government?
The proof is that there is federal law that has to be enforced over local law, and Frey refuses to do that. Okay? He is raising the level of defiance.
He's not in charge. He's not in charge of that.
Sure
what
he
he's
is.
supposed to do,
he's
sanctuary
compelled
cities have been
to
found
obey
constitutional.
federal law.
He
Look,
cannot
Walz and Frey
obstruct execution of federal law.
Okay.
That's the law, Bill.
You can live in the world of theory all day long, Cuomo. You can live in your own little world of theory all day long. Both men have been subpoenaed. Both men have been subpoenaed.
Wow. By whom?
Okay?
By
and
whom?
they've been subpoenaed for a reason.
By MAGA? Wait, what?
Yeah, because MAGA's pissed.
Oh, yeah,
and they
by
go after
MAGA
their
they've been
opponents.
subpoenaed. How ridiculous is that statement you just made? MAGA.
Who subpoenaed them?
MAGA issued the
Who subpoenaed
subpoenas.
them?
Where does MAGA live?
Who subpoenaed them?
Are they in Austin, Texas?
Who subpoenaed them?
They've both
They're in
been
control
subpoenaed.
of the Congress.
They're going to have to come in, and believe me, they may be charged with federal crimes. At the same time, a story you've totally ignored, you have, because you're the most powerful guy on this network.
You're going to mention Singham, who I did this morning on the radio show, and I did last night, and I did last week, and I've done 6 different times.
I did it with,
what were you going to say, Bill?
That's where I did it with. Did it with Leland on Monday night. That is an almost more important story than this. Is that you have an American living in Shanghai, China, funneling tens of millions of dollars to radical groups to go in and try to overthrow whatever government they want. This story is unbelievable, and the corporate media, with the exception of NewsNation, because I gave the NewsNation executives a heads up that I was going to go into it with Leland. Well, I had the congressman and the head of the Ways and Means Committee on my program. They're going to go after these guys.
Anna Paulina Luna has been chasing this. Anna Paulina Luna has been all over it for months. I've talked to her about it multiple times here and on SXM Radio.
It's at the level now where you have a foreign government through an American citizen who's living in China, okay, funneling money to violent protesters in Minnesota. That's what you have. And you don't think that's a big story? And Frey and Walz know it. They know it.
Bill, let me say it again. I know that you would like to paint me a certain way. It would make it a little easier for you to make your arguments. I have told you several times, I jumped your own question with the guy's name because I knew where you were going to go because it's so absurd. We have been all over it. The idea that I'm hiding from that story, well, your causation is absurd. If you think that the protests in Minnesota are forced by some crazy guy named Singham who's forcing it with money, you haven't been watching what's happening. It's organic.
Organic, huh? Well, Chris, since when does organic unrest come with tens of millions of dollars in foreign funding and organized bus routes? You just jumped the question because you know Bill O'Reilly had the receipts on Singham. And to add on to that, you spent 4 years talking about Russian collusion with zero proof. But now you see Chinese money flowing into Minnesota to burn down hotels where ICE agents sleep, and you call it organic? That ain't a problem, Chris? Chris, that's a hit job.
Okay, there are bad actors involved on the financing. You don't think what's happening in Minnesota is justified by what they see? Well, so if Democrats, when Democrats subpoenaed the Trump administration and Trump, you would say, oh, this is a real subpoena. This is good. This is how it works. No, you blame the Democrats the whole time. How is this any different? This is political payback. Plain and simple.
You have foreign money coming into Minnesota to foster unrest against the federal government.
Now, you just heard Chris Cuomo just admit. He said yes. The guy they're talking about is a multi-billionaire that moved to China, him and his wife. But they are still funneling money back to the States. And Chris doesn't see anything wrong with that? Come on, man. Chris is just trying to get his talking points in so he can rally for the Democrats.
Yeah, it's no good. It's no good when they did it on college campuses. No, I'm talking about MAGA with the subpoenas.
No, he didn't just mention MAGA again. I guess he's just trying to toss his base a bone. Most people just tuned in to watch Cuomo only to see Bill O'Reilly rip him a new one.
Bill, you got to keep things straight, brother. You said they're being subpoenaed. They're being subpoenaed because MAGA's going after its political opponents. The money coming in is a problem.
MAGA?
That's not about the subpoenas.
It's the federal government going after. The federal government is issuing the subpoenas, not MAGA. What's the matter with you? You are so lost in your theoretical world.
So when the Democrats were going after... So when the Democrats were going after Trump, you said, well, this is the federal government. This is how it works. No, you said it was lawfare. You said it was political playback, and that it was baseless, and they were ruining the democracy. You said all of it. You said it right here.
You're
and
crazy.
You weren't wrong. And you weren't wrong. But now you want to pretend that this is legit. But when Democrats go after Trump, it's illegit. Come on, Trump. Come on. Bill, that's what it is.
Now it's lawfare. When they were trying to bury Trump in paperwork that he didn't even do, Cuomo was leading the parade. Now that the shoe is on the other foot and Congress wants to know why a mayor is letting insurrection happen, he wants to cry about ridiculous subpoenas. The only thing ridiculous is your memory of how justice works. You can't call it the administration of justice when you do it and political payback when we do it. Well, let's get back. Roll the next clip.
That's what it is.
It's ridiculous. All you're doing is pettifogging the actual story. And the actual story is an insurrection. It's an insurrection being funded
an insurrection.
by China. Yes, it is. Of course it is. It's a defiance of the federal government. It's a defiance
The funding
of it.
is a problem.
That's what it is.
Look, I don't disagree, but that doesn't make it an insurrection any more than January 6th was an insurrection.
Right.
Because it wasn't.
Let's go back to South
It's not an
Carolina
organized
before
movement
the
to take
Civil
over
War.
the government.
You know,
But what I'm saying, Bill,
nicknaming you
is
James Buchanan. It's James Buchanan Cuomo. So he made the same argument.
Okay.
Oh, South Carolina is not anticipated. They're not. Not an insurrection. Even though they're stockpiling arms, beating the hell out of our union people, threatening everybody, and finally opening up fire on a fort.
You talking about ICE?
I'm talking about James Buchanan before the Civil War. It was an insurrection in the South. It's an insurrection in Minnesota.
This is not an
And
insurrection.
you don't want to admit it.
Of course, but I have no problem admitting it. I have no problem admitting it if it were true. These are people who are pissed off by what they're seeing happen in their communities. Doesn't mean they want to overthrow the government. And you can't look at the subpoenas. Hey, if Democrats were behind issuing the subpoenas, I wouldn't say it. But they're not, because it's just lawfare. But and yet, I'll tell you how crazy I am. Maybe James Buchanan was also. I'm happy you're back. I'm happy you're back. I still am happy you're back.
Hold it. Robust debate is what this country needs. And that's what we just provided. Thanks for having me on.
I'm happy to be part of it. James Buchanan Cuomo, that's me, brother. I want a t-shirt. Bill O'Reilly, I'll talk to you soon.
Bill O'Reilly really nailed it. Cuomo is just a modern-day James Buchanan. He's standing by with the library of theories while the union gets attacked from the inside. He thinks he can outsmart common sense with a teleprompter, but he folded like a lawn chair as soon as the truth hit the room. Chris, you can't be a bridge when you're still carrying water for the people trying to burn it down. We're just getting started on this investigation, but for now I'm signing off. But I want you to make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll be the first when the next bomb drops. Subscribe and drop a comment below if you think that Cuomo is full of it. Don't stop here, look right above, because I linked 2 more videos that are absolutely jam-packed with the information the mainstream media is trying to bury. Click one of those, and I'll see you over there. Let's get it.